Dhurandhar 2 is breaking box office records, has an IMDb score of 8.8, and people are saying that Dhurandhar 2, The Revenge, is way better than Dhurandhar 1. Yes, definitely visually, but storytelling wise, Dhurandhar 1 excels Dhurandhar 2. Let me be clear, I enjoyed every moment of those 4 hours of Dhurandhar The Revenge. However, when I recollect what happened in Dhurandhar 1, it feels like Dhurandhar 1 was more like a game of chess, while Dhurandhar The Revenge was like something like of snakes and ladders. In this video, I ain't gonna talk anything about the political stuff. I'm just gonna dive into the art of storytelling and why Dhurandhar 1 was way better than Dhurandhar 2 storytelling wise. Yes, Major Iqbal is deadly and strong as seen in Dhurandhar 1, but I feel that in Dhurandhar 2 he's just reduced to a very typical cliche villain with dialogue. You can honestly feel the absence of Rahman Taked in this whole 4 hours. An antagonist like Rahman Taked has multiple layers, multiple dynamics, such as his emotional attachment with his son, his desire to be king of Liari. I don't know about you, but I didn't want Rahman Taked to be executed by Hamza at all. Rahman Taked was such a well-written character that we as an audience felt an attachment with the character. Even Hamza too feels his attachment as seen in his vision of Rahman Taked. One of the main reasons of Dhurandhar 1's success was due to the word of mouth. People had never seen something like Dhurandhar 1 before. Dhurandhar 1 brought in a fresh mix of the spy thriller with the gangster genre and beautifully blended it together. The idea of an Indian spy penetrating the gangs of Liari to collect intel and stop terrorism is a really an intriguing thought, and that's why people flock to the theatres. While the plot of the second part follows along the same line, it reverts back to a classic revenge thriller, something like Kill Bill, which we have already seen before, where the bride, that is Beatrix Kiddo, follows a path of revenge like that of Hamza. Reiterating on the last point, in part 1, Hamza had to play a game of chess against his opponents, when each character were their own chess pieces with their own attributes and desires. For example, Hamza had to act up and take dead Nazim, who is Rahman Taked's son, to the hospital, as well as saving his younger brother. This move of Hamza not only gave him a direct entrance into the Rahman Taked gang, but also served as a point of trigger for Rahman Taked's revenge against the Babu Taked gang. This simple move by Hamza changed the game completely and reiterates how it is more like a game of chess. Dhurandhar The Revenge, on the other hand, is much more like a mission where Hamza has to start from point A and reach point B. Hamza quite easily executes all his enemies, the Kanani brothers, SP Aslam, Major Iqbal. Moreover, the plot becomes a little convenient, especially when Ajay Sanyal, played by R. Madhavan, gives a free hand to Hamza to go on a rampage streak. Furthermore, I feel the character dynamics are missing in Dhurandhar 2. Just think about it. How dramatic was the scene when Rahman Taked got to know that Hamza was a traitor in his own gang. The Ghadi Rok scene.
Ghadi Rok.
And now just think about how Major Iqbal got to know that Hamza was an Indian spy. Just a phone call. It definitely could have been much more interesting. While Dhurandhar 1 was much more like an experiment which brought something brand new to the table, Dhurandhar 2 reverts back to the revenge formula which I had told before, and mind you, isn't at all wrong, because as the title suggests, Dhurandhar The Revenge promises and delivers a very cold-blooded revenge. And I guess this is the reason why audience love Dhurandhar 2 more than Dhurandhar 1, because we have seen a revenge thriller like this many times before, and Dhurandhar 2 doubles down on this revenge and does it 100 times better. While Dhurandhar 2 promises and delivers a very intense revenge, I feel that it didn't have that much emotional payoff. Dhurandhar The Revenge, I feel, heavily relies on the emotional weight of the 2611 and the red screen scene, which I feel is one of the most intense scenes of Indian cinema. I clearly remember when the whole theatre went completely silent, and there was a very uneasy feeling in the whole theatre when the red screen scene was happening. However, Dhurandhar 2, I feel, lacks in such emotional scenes which truly bring out our emotions. There was hardly any addition of emotional scenes which reminded the audience why the revenge was happening in the first place. Don't get me wrong, the revenge in part 2 hits. but it would have hit much more harder and the revenge would be much more sweeter if it had a much more strong emotional base. Also, I feel like we could have dived deeper into Jaskirat's backstory, his relations with his sister, his mother, just like we had seen in the 26 level scene. Again, the ending would have hit way more harder. Not that it wasn't effective, it is still one of the most beautiful scenes of Indian cinema. Is it just me, or Dhurandhar 1's chapter titles are much more memorable than Dhurandhar 2's? While using chapters is the technique used by Aditya Dutt and many other directors like Quentin Tarantino in Kill Bill to imitate the episodes of a web series, where we are eager to know what happens in the next episode. By the way, the final chapter of Dhurandhar 2 is one heck of a ride, and it is perhaps the most peak of the entire movie. Look, Dhurandhar 2 is not a bad film at all. It's a great movie. Aditya Dutt promises revenge and delivers it beautifully. But here's the thing about chess and snakes and ladders. While one makes you think and keeps you guessing, one is very fun to play. I am Advait, this is mid-roll, and if you disagree with my opinion, and I know you do, drop it in the comments. Tell me why part 2 is better story-wise, change my mind. If you like this kind of content, do subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.